April 20th, 1999. Mass shooting at Columbine High School. Since then, there has been over 270 school shootings in the United States. With the recent rise of school shootings in the United States and talk of gun control and solutions in politics, many Shorecrest students have decided to voice their opinions. This is what Shorecrest had to say.
The very foundation of the problem, as I see it, is that we have a whole generation of young people who are not sure that they should or can feel safe at school, and that stems from a variety of things, but I don't know if we've done enough to make sure that our schools are the safest that they can possibly be, so we can do the job that we're here to do, which is to help educate and empower young people to do whatever they want to do with their lives.
We have an epidemic of gun violence. The United States has about 5% of the world's population, yet nearly 50% of all gun violence occurs in the United States.
So in simple terms, there are too many guns in the US and too many ways to get them. And that's the simplest way that I can say it. There are ways online where you can buy the parts for the guns and put it together at home, and all of a sudden you have a fully functioning assault rifle.
I think we need to have stricter regulations on who can have a gun, who can gain access in general.
I definitely think that we should have tighter regulations on who has access to guns in terms of like age limits and also more advanced background checks.
I believe it's a mental issue. I mean, you don't see a sane person without any problems going around shooting up schools or buildings or anyone. They're just living normal lives. It's usually people who have a chronic illness who may have been reported to the FBI or have other issues and that they have concerning their mental health that causes them to go on these sick rampages.
Many of you already know that I have a very personal relationship to school shootings and to gun violence. My mother, Robert King, was killed in 2009 in a mass shooting in upstate New York when she was teaching an English language learners class. The man who killed my mother was not mentally stable. His family was not surprised, and I think that his family did try to do some things to prevent him from having access to weapons, or they were not surprised that he did this, showing that if they knew he was capable of this, he should have had no access to weapons.
The issue is guns are too readily available to people with mental health issues.
As I see as gun control, is that the decisions we make now are going to affect us long term in the future. I see that if we get rid of them now, the good people aren't going to have guns, and the bad people will always have guns. So there's no reason in taking away our guns to protect ourselves.
It feels like the gravity of these events is increasing, and it definitely is, and there definitely is a very real problem, and it's a very American problem that we need to address.
That people seem to be ignoring the facts that children and our fellow citizens are dying, and that the seeming right to own and possess a weapon takes precedent over that.
In the United States, there is not a lot of mental health awareness or working for mental health. We are working towards it, we've been building it up, but it needs to be built up further and faster by the government. It's not strong enough to stop people like these and give the help that they need so that they don't do crimes like this and murder innocent people.
I think we need to make gun laws stricter. Not anybody should be able to get a gun, but in the classrooms, I think we need to make class sizes smaller. We need to increase our counseling and other support staff in the buildings so kids have resources here, because many of them, school is the only place where they get a comforting adult.
I think that we should put more regulations on who is able to buy the guns and for what reason, and we should regulate when people are allowed to use them.
Kids from like 18 to 21 should not be able to, I don't think.
I don't think that misuse of firearms is restricted to people that are under the age of 21. So I think it perhaps is a Band-Aid on a larger problem. That being said, I think that is a conversation that should be had, and voters take that into consideration.
I think instead of banning guns, we should probably limit the amount of ammo you can buy.
I believe the basic problem is that firearms as a personal defense mechanism are not reliable. They kill more people than they defend against, and therefore as a personal defense mechanism they're not really valuable or worthwhile. But I think that having a well-armed population is absolutely necessary for defense against a tyrannical government.
Having stricter regulations on guns, I think upping the age of when you can get a gun is important. Also having larger background checks, making it a little more difficult for anybody to get a gun.
Regulation on guns, like increasing the age to buy guns, you know, restricting basically all assault rifles and like automatic weapons.
I know the metal detector thing has come up, but like, I don't know, I guess that can be kind of like scary because school's supposed to be a place where, you know, you feel safe. You shouldn't have to like go through a metal detector, but there's no way for us to know if someone has a gun or anything.
It is a tough subject because, you know, you can't just take away all the guns, but at the same time, you know, make it harder for people to actually get guns. You know. That's why it's such a controversial topic, just because it's not so black and white, you know, to talk about.
And as a teacher, probably my biggest argument would be education. Maybe we just need to start educating more, talking more, opening up more channels for conversation.
I believe that people should be able to own guns. I, in fact, have guns in my home. My husband has been a hunter for a long time, pheasant hunting. So we've got shotguns and we've got pistols as well. I enjoy target shooting. I think it's a lot of fun to actually go skeet shooting, you know, when you pull that clay pigeon and have it shoot up. It's a skill that you can hone and enjoy. I see absolutely no reason to have assault rifles at all. No one should have those.
I feel like we need to look to other nations that have better models that are more effective. A particular nation that I think would be a good model to go for is a place like Japan.
We take veterans that are sitting on the streets homeless, and we give them jobs to arm our schools, or we give teachers the allowance to arm themselves to arm the school.
When we're going out to support our views, to be open to other people's views too. Because otherwise we're not going to ever find any agreement that anybody's going to be happy on.
As Donald Trump said, if the bad guy knows that someone else has a gun, they're not going to be, you know, as more willing to go after someone who is the same level of danger as themselves.
I don't think in any circumstance adding more guns to a situation will help make someplace a less violent place.
I don't think that arming teachers with guns is a good idea because it takes a lot of training to be able to use a gun effectively in a stressful situation, and teachers can have mental breakdowns too.
Like, I get like why they would, but I just don't think it's a smart choice.
I am against arming teachers with guns. If I think personally about myself, I don't think I would be any safer if I had a gun with me. I think having another gun in the classroom would make it more dangerous.
Teachers, I don't think they need to necessarily be armed with weapons. If they want to, they should be allowed to carry a weapon on school. But I think personally that we should have the National Guard defending our schools. I mean, we have armed people guarding banks, our government buildings, our military bases, our what else? Airports. Every institution where there's a large number of people, there's usually guards there, except for school.
Armed guards, that's their specific job, would be a better idea than just arming teachers, but I wouldn't want to stop teachers from being armed if they wanted to.
A lot of times the solution for people seems to be just to keep arming and to kind of like fight fire with fire, which is never going to work.
I don't think teachers want guns. I don't think that it's worthwhile to spend the money and resources to train them.
So I think the best way to make schools safe and our community safe is to make sure everybody feels welcome and valued, and to really take care of each other, and to notice when people are having a hard time and activate support for them. So there needs to be some community supports that are available to people.
On the morning of March 14th, hundreds of Shorecrest students joined thousands of other high school students worldwide to honor the Parkland shooting victims and to protest what many called insufficient gun laws that have contributed towards mass shootings at schools.
Our generation has the chance to make history today and every day. Your voice matters. Use it.
I'm walking out because we really need change at this point. It's been way too much of the reoccurring same old stuff, and it's just at this point, it's not going to change unless we actually do something. So young people like us are the future, and we're what's going to change America and make this a better place for everyone.
It's also something that's very unique to our time, and like, quite frankly, I mean, it was just something that needed to happen. Like, the walkout just needed to happen. The nationwide walkouts needed to happen. There needed to be a statement of students saying that this is enough and we are fed up. We don't want to be hearing more and more about, you know, our peers being murdered at school.
No more silence and gun violence! No more silence and gun violence! No more silence and gun violence!
Yeah, and I was just really impressed by all the people who came out, because I feel like there was a lot of people there that didn't necessarily share all the same views, but we were all just angry that, like, students just like us are getting killed. And so I think it's great that everyone came together, because that's the only way we can really make a change. And yeah.
The NRA has got to go. Hey, hey.
It's one thing to defend yourself in an altercation and use lethal force if necessary, but it's a totally different thing to hold that much automatic lethal force at your whim. I believe that that's absolutely wrong. I think there's a great difference between personal self-defense and a weapon that you can use to hurt a lot of people at one time. And I think just as you wouldn't carry an RPG on the street for self-defense, there has to be a line between that and a pistol, and I think an assault rifle falls on the RPG side. I think that it is far more deadly than it needs to be.
Hey, hey, NRA, how many kids did you kill today?
Stop gun violence! End the silence! Stop gun violence! End the silence!
The students who are suffering from that pain, the students who are suffering from the pain of the loss of having their school attacked, having their friends and loved ones murdered, they've done the most heroic thing they could. Not only do they continue to get up in the morning, but they fight every day with congressmen who look them in the eyes and tell them no.
If we work on helping these people before something bad happens, you know, sitting down with the person that you don't usually sit with, stuff like that, I think it could make a difference.
A positive step and something that every single one of us can do is to make sure that we see one another and take care of one another. So that's where I want to put my energy and where I want to put my resources and time. Because bottom line, anyone that is feeling like they're not a part of this society and are not seen and not valued are folks that are at risk both for harming themselves or harming someone else or just not living a fulfilled life. And that's our responsibility, I believe, to bring everybody into the fold.